Merry meet everyone. So I'm going to be doing a video today on, oh, let me just take off my glasses, on manifestation and how to manifest certain things in your life. And I can't see, so unfortunately I have to put my glasses back on. So, alright. So I'm sorry for the glare in them, but I cannot see without them on. So I'm going to be doing a video on manifestation and how to manifest different things in your life. For instance, positivity, health, love, money, different things like that. But first I'd like to make a special introduction. This is Petey. And when I first got him, he was about as feral as they come. And he was a nasty, nasty little boy, and he liked to bite and hiss and scratch and spit and all of those nasty things. And now he is just the most amazing, handsome little man that ever was. And he gives kisses because he's such a sweet boy. Oh, you give kisses? Yes. So, we will start with manifesting positivity. And all manifestation is just bringing it into your life. And people can achieve this by doing it different ways. I kind of want to go through the tips of manifesting the different things, the different tips on positivity, love, money, health, things like that, before I get into the ways on how to do it. So tip 1 on manifesting positivity is be grateful for what is. The term goes, things come into your life, it's either a lesson or a blessing, and that term is very, very true. Everything that comes into your life it teaches you something. It's either teaching you something or it's giving you something. When negative things happen, for instance, they happen to teach you something, and you're not meant to live in that moment forever. It's meant to be just that, a moment. And I think for a lot of people, they find themselves dwelling and constantly reliving these bad moments. And there he goes. And that brings us to a place of constant negativity. And negativity can lead to toxicity in your life and manifest in ways like your health and your mental wellness and things like that. So I think it's important to remember to be grateful for what you do have, be grateful and to be positive about the life that you are living, because even though sometimes you don't have the best moments, you're still alive to have moments. And so be grateful for that. Be grateful for the little things, even if sometimes it feels like everything's falling apart. Really, it's just you have to rebuild something bigger and better. So that's why there are all these pieces. Tip 2 is be proactive in keeping your life free of negativity while remembering that we are only human. So what that basically means is that, number 1, keeping your life free of negativity means to protect yourself from negative people, for one, negative situations, finding yourself in situations that you don't want to be in because of the inability to say no. That can manifest into negativity because now you don't really want to be there, or you really don't want to do this, or you really don't want to talk to this person or do this or that. So now you have this animosity and you're dreading doing these things, or you're just miserable the whole time. And unfortunately that leads to having negative moments in your life, and nobody really wants that. So number 1, learn how to say no. It's important. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I quit smoking a few weeks ago, so it's like my body is trying to just get rid of all the nasties. So I apologize. So yeah, learn how to say no. Learn how to be okay with saying no. Be okay with respecting your own boundaries, and not being afraid to enforce those boundaries. when need be. If you find yourself having a negative moment, a negative day, whatever the case may be, remember that you are only human. It's okay to have those moments. It's okay to have a bad day, a bad moment. This seems like a shitty week. It's okay. Just don't live there. Process it and let it go. Don't hold on to it. Let it go. Tip 3, accept that you are in charge of your own life. I think this is really huge for a lot of people. And I don't know what is going on here. Sorry, let me just fix it's pressing buttons here and I don't know what it's pressing. Okay, so, where was I? I'm sorry. This video is going to be all over the place. Accept that you are in charge of your own life, which means that I think for some of us, I can't speak for everyone, but I know that we have moments where we try to help someone and we don't realize that we really are forcing our own opinions on how we live our life and projecting them onto someone else. That is not okay. In any situation, in any circumstance, that is not okay. We have to remember that we are only in charge of ourselves. Even as parents, we are only in charge of ourselves. And what I mean by that is that we're not raising children. We're raising adults. And it's important to remember that, because they're not going to be children forever. They're going to be adults in time, and they're going to be then in charge of their own lives. So we can only provide guidance, structure, discipline, and of course love, and unconditional love at that. And so we really are not in charge of their lives. The only person that we are held accountable to are ourselves. The only people that we are in charge of are ourselves. So it's important to keep that in mind, that the only person that we need to worry about, minus the responsibility of being a parent, but I mean, as far as making sure that we're keeping ourselves on track, we're keeping our lives together, we've got positive thoughts, we're keeping everything together. That is our job for us. If we live a positive life as a parent, or if you have other people who look up to you, whether it be in your community or whatever the case may be, if you live a positive life and always try to strive to never live or dwell in those negative moments, you are teaching the people who look up to you to do the same. And I think that that's a huge lesson for people to learn, and it's a good trait to pass on to your children, to be positive and to think positively and to manifest positive things in your life. So, and that's that. Tip 4 is be aware of psychic or energy vampires. This is especially so for empaths. Me being an empath, I can tell you that sometimes it is very difficult. And I'll give you a short little story about myself. I had this friend, and she's not a bad person. She was just very overwhelming, and I found that whenever I spoke to her, she always needed to talk to me for hours. And I did not reinforce my boundaries, and I allowed this to happen. And she always needed to talk to me for hours. She always wanted to be on the phone for hours, or she would come over, and she would always come over for hours upon hours. And then she asked me to start doing these crafty things with her, and at first everything was fine and great. And then I noticed that she really did have negative tendencies, and she kind of just dumped all of these onto me every time we spoke. And I was feeling so drained and so exhausted, to the point where I was dreading talking to her. I was dreading any moment that we were going to be in the same room or together. And she had made a comment one time. We were talking about somebody, because she ran this business, and she trained someone to do what she did. And she was accusing this person of stealing her clients. And I didn't, know what to say, and, it didn't seem like she really had any evidence of that, but, me not reinforcing my boundaries, I didn't, and I just allowed her to dump all of this on me. And then her final comment to me was, people like that deserve a bullet between the eyes. And I decided at that moment that was it for me. And I stopped talking to her, and I completely separated myself from that situation. And I feel, a part of me, because I am an empath, I feel bad. I feel bad for removing myself from this situation, especially where she had questions as to why I separated myself from her. But it's not a conversation I was willing to have, because at that point I was done. So, being an empath, she was very much a psychic or energy vampire. She drained me of what I felt was my life force. Like, I needed a nap after I was done talking to her, and I was exhausted the whole next day. And whenever I would see her number pop up on the phone, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can deal with this conversation. So be aware of these people in your life, because these people are your friends. They're not always just, people you work with or people in your family. These people can be your friends. And it's not a very good feeling avoiding your friends. And it's not a good feeling to allow your friends to kind of dump all of this garbage onto you, and to kind of like take away all of your goodness and leaving behind just this blah, so it's not very fair. So you have to do your boundaries, and you have to protect yourself. And a good way to protect yourself is, I'm sorry, I have this like hair in my face, and it's tickling my nose horribly. But a good way to protect yourself is kind of like surrounding yourself in a bubble. And this invisible bubble is only one that you envision, and it's a bubble of protection, and it's kind of just like this bubble of white light. And whenever you leave the house, just walk out of the house with that bubble, because they are everywhere. Psychic and energy vampires are everywhere, unfortunately. And as an empath, I know that many of you are empaths. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That feeling of just like, I could just go to sleep. I just want to take a nap after you're done talking to someone. So, and most energy vampires are not even aware that they are this exhausting to you. So, most don't know. There are some that do know. And I will tell you that some are even very deceptive, where they come across initially as this great person, and you're like, yeah, I can see myself having a great friendship with this person. And then 6 months, a year down the line, you're like, wow, I don't know what happened, where it all went wrong. So just keep in mind that, as an empath, I can completely understand, and it's important that you protect yourself. Tip 5. See your life the way you wish it to be. So if you want to manifest a positive life, you have to see it. You can't just sit there and say, oh, I wish I had this, or I wish I thought more positively, or I wish I was more happy, or I wish this, I wish that. No. See it. See it in your mind's eye. Envision yourself living this life that you want, because that is how you manifest these things into your life. Sorry, coffee break. That's how you manifest these things into your life. It's by seeing them already as if they are. Tip 6. Replace negative thoughts with positive ones. So let's say, for an example, let's say if you are at work, right, and you're having a really tough day, and your boss asks you to stay an extra half hour because he really needs to get this done or that done. and you really don't want to stay, but you know it's going to look good on your review, so you stay. Now, this is not going to put you in the best mood because you really don't want to be there, number one. And this goes back to, if you really, really don't want to, you cannot be afraid to say no. But if you put yourself there in a position where you decide for yourself that, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it because this is going to look good in my review and I have a chance to make more money or whatever the case may be. Just think, instead of thinking, oh, this is going to suck, just think positive. Be like, oh, well, I'll get home and, a little bit later. Maybe I can cook something quick for dinner and then I can catch a movie. Or I can spend more time with my kids. Maybe we'll cook dinner together tonight. Or maybe we'll do this or that. Exchange those negative thoughts for positive ones. No matter what the situation is. Even if you're in traffic. Traffic's a big one. Traffic is a trigger for a lot of people. And I live in Massachusetts. And I have a friend who lives on the Cape. And the traffic out there is horrible. And she gets stuck in traffic multiple times a day on the bridge. So, being stuck in traffic is a trigger for a lot of people. When you're stuck in traffic and you can feel like the stress just kind of climbing and you have that negativity building within you and you're just starting to get really angry and really anxious. Try different things. Try breathing techniques. Bring a CD. Bring like a CD. They have like at Walmart and things like that. CDs that are like super chill and they have like really calming music, like meditation music or spa music, or they have drums and flute music. If you like that kind of stuff and it's very relaxing to you, make sure you keep that CD in your car and don't listen to it unless you're stressed out. That way it becomes this like decompressant, this it becomes a good thing. Excuse me. So, I'm sorry, I've taken another sip, another stop, yes. Quitting smoking was one of the best things I've ever done, but this horrible like cough after my body trying to like purge itself of all cigarette related messy nasties that are in my body. So you could do something like that. Put on the radio. You can even like buy a single or the CD of your favorite artist and jam out and find something to do. If you're like in dead stop traffic, take selfies. Start nature watching. If the traffic is not moving, take your phone out and look at the trees and see if you can catch some wildlife. There are so many things that you can do to turn that negative into a positive. So the next tip is take ownership for things that happen in your life that is your fault. We need to stop blaming everyone else. That is a huge thing. And so many people they may not be narcissists at all, but they exhibit narcissistic behavior because they don't want to take ownership for what they've done. And in every situation, even if it's an argument between two people, let's say if, I get into an argument with someone else, I still have ownership in that, as do they. I cannot say, well, if she didn't say this to me or she didn't do that, I still have ownership in that. Any part that I played in that, that's mine. That's mine all day. It is not hers. It does not belong to her. It belongs to me. Just as, if she says something to me and I walk away, then, I've done the adult thing. Not all of us do the adult thing. I can tell you there have been times that I've been petty. So just know that, I'm human. I recognize that. I take ownership for it. Process, release it, let it go. Don't hold on to it. Take ownership. Accept what you've done. If you've done something to hurt another human being, then, you may need to apologize. And take ownership in that. And you know what? Be that good person, because positive actions bring in positive aspects in your life. Tip 8. Always believe that good things are about to happen. Now, I just made this reference yesterday because I did this video on a Wiccan page that I have on Facebook, and it's called All Things Wicca and Witchcraft, so if any of you are interested. But I did the same reference, and I think that this rings true, especially in today's world. If you go to a convenience store or anything like that, and you go to get a scratch ticket, and you go to scratch that ticket, but you're already thinking, oh, I don't even know why I buy these things, because I always lose. You are already putting in a negative intent, a bad feeling into this this lottery ticket. Now, if you go get a scratch ticket, you're like, you know what, I have a good feeling about this. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win. No, but going in with a positive feeling, like I feel like I could win, you just never know what can happen, right? If you're already doubting that you're going to win, then you're already putting it out there that, you know what, I don't deserve this, I'm not going to get it. That's exactly what it equates to. So think of it as, that good things are about to happen. It's going to happen. Same thing with, like, going to a job interview. You go into that job interview and you go in knowing that this job interview is going to be awesome, like you're going to rock it, and you deserve it because you're qualified, and that you are going to be memorable. They're going to remember you in this interview. You have to think this way. I'm not telling anybody what to do, but these are suggestions on how to live a great life. But, I mean, you want to walk in there with a positive attitude, like, I got this. I got this all day. This is something that we should all be doing, is thinking of life as good things are coming. They're good. I deserve them, and they're coming. Number 9, remember that like attracts like. So keep your behavior in check. And, sorry, I'm just looking at my cat because over by the door. Come on. But anyway, so like attracts like. So if you are trying to bring in something positive, positivity in general, then you're going to have to start thinking positive. You can't expect to bring positivity in if you always have a negative mind. So just keep that in mind, that you want to bring in something, you're going to have to start living accordingly and thinking accordingly. Like attracts like. So you can't expect to have, positive things happen if you're always an asshole. And that's just a reference, that I'm going to use because it's true. If you are always spitting out negative energy, how do you expect to create positive energy to come back to you? So we'll just leave that one there. Tip 10. Stop the victim mentality and replace it with seeing your life the way you wish it to be. We are the superheroes of our own lives. This one I cannot stress enough. So, I'm just going to take a sip of coffee. I'm kind of like all over this video. I hope you guys can follow without it being too distracting. Alright, so we're going to stop the victim mentality. That has to stop. It's almost like you see it everywhere. You see these people, like I literally just spoke to someone at my job. I answer phones, and I literally just got a phone call today where she said, I need someone to come look at my machine. And so I asked her what the problem was, and she said, my washing machine is spitting out a code. And she's like, I know the code means that one of two things, it needs to be repaired. And she's like, one thing is really cheap to fix and the other thing is really expensive. And so I said, well, excuse me, let's think positive, and hopefully it's the cheaper thing. She goes, yeah, well, that's just not my luck. It's always the worst of the things that happen to me. And that's your victim mentality. It's always, woe is me, always happens to me, me. That's just how it is. So, we need to stop the victim mentality. There are victims, real victims out there that have gone through horrendous, heinous things. And you see these people go through these horrendous things, and they pick up their lives and they put them back together, and they come out on the other side such an amazingly strong individual. That is a victim who decided that I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a warrior. I want to be a survivor, not a victim. And they do that, and we need to adapt and adopt that mentality. So, be the superhero of your own life. I'm just trying to see where I am here. Be the superhero of your own life. Don't be afraid to take charge and let me put it to you this way. Okay. So let's say if you have children. Let's say if you have little ones, you're a mom or you're a dad. You have young children looking up to you, right? Now, do you want them to be strong? Or do you want them to be, play the victim mentality, learn that at a young age, and kind of just like eke their way through life? You obviously want your children to be strong individuals that take charge of their own life and make it happen. That is what we need to teach our children. We need to stop teaching them that, bad things always happen, and, I have the worst luck. And if it weren't for, no luck, if it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck. And I've heard that term a million times. We need to stop teaching our children to think like this. We need to teach them how to be superheroes of their own life, how to be the winner, how to bring all of these great things, and if bad moments happen, they're just moments, they pass. So, I will leave that one there. Alright, tip 11. This is the last tip for manifesting positivity, and then we'll move on to money. So, tip 11. Sometimes positive changes don't feel so positive in the beginning. That is very, very true. So, I'm so sorry, I can't stop coughing. I don't like change. And I'll put that right out there. I don't like change. I don't like feeling the effects of transition. It's hard for me. And so it doesn't feel like it's positive, because I'm having a difficult time transitioning through that process. It does not mean that it's not positive. It's very much a positive thing. It just doesn't feel positive to me. So you got to work your way through that, because, if we start allowing the uncomfortableness of change affect us and how we receive these positive changes, we could be setting ourselves up for failure. Excuse me. We don't want to do that. We definitely want to allow ourselves these things to happen. So just keep that in mind that, positive changes don't always feel positive in the beginning. Sometimes they feel like, I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know if I can do this. Look at breakups. Breakups are, a good example. If you're with someone and you weren't happy, right? But you don't like to be alone. You're like one of those people that don't like to be alone. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You need to learn how to be alone and how to be okay with that. And I think breakups are the lesson how to teach you how to do that. Come on, Petey. Come on. He's causing trouble. So I gotta get him over here. Okay. So sometimes it doesn't feel positive, but it is. So next we have manifesting money. And these are some tips on manifesting money. Tip 1. Be clear on why you need the money and be specific on the amount. This is important because it comes down to a question, need or greed. It is one of those two things. There is no in between. Do you want the money because you're in need of it, or do you want the money because you are being greedy? And I think people get into this phase in life that's very easy to fall into of they don't like to feel uncomfortable struggling through the week and trying to not be broke. So, which is a problem for a lot of people. But if you have a genuine need, then by all means, try to bring that money in. But with that being said, money doesn't come from thin air. Money comes from somewhere. So it's not going to just fall into your lap. Be specific on how you'd like to see this money come in. Do you want a promotion at work? Would you like a boost in personal sales? Me, I work for my brother, but I'm an artist as well. So, do I want to sell a lot of paintings when I go out there and I do events? Or, do I want to draw in new customers? Do I want to be able to effectively and successfully create a new piece of art that I wasn't able to do before? That way I bring in a new clientele base. These are things that I can manifest in my life to bring in more money. So just remember that money has to come from somewhere. It does not come out, it doesn't manifest in the sky and fall into your lap. It has to have a source. Tip 3. See yourself already having the money and spending it on its intended purpose. Let's say if you have a gas bill that needs to be paid, you don't have enough money to pay it. And a lot of Americans know that struggle of not able to pay bills. So let's say if you know that you have a review coming up, and with your reviews, if you have a good review, you get a bonus, right? So you might manifest the money in the form of getting that bonus and having a really good review. But then you have to put the work in for it as well. And I just want to put that in there. It's one thing to manifest and to bring stuff to you and manifest your desires, but you really kind of have to put the legwork in as well. So if you want that bonus and you want that promotion, then you might have to stay late, and you might have to put in extra hours, and you might have to take on extra work duties or whatever. So or you can say, oh, I'm going to play the lottery and I hope I win, $200.19 to the cost of your gas bill or whatever, so you can do things like that. So tip 4, before manifesting money, ask yourself need or greed, which I already touched on that. It's really just one of those two things. If you want the money to go on a cruise because you just want to go on a cruise, that's not really a need. If you want the money for a plane ticket because you have a sick family member in another state, that's a need. To me, that's a need. Some people might not say it is. I think it is. I think it's a need. I think that, if you have a sick family member, you should be able to, you should be able to ask for something like that. So, tip 5, the more specific you are, the easier it is to manifest. And so that is why I say be specific on everything. Because the more specific you are, amount, source, and why, I think the easier you'll be able to achieve the desired result. I'm going to try to keep my glasses off a little bit because the glare is driving me nuts. All right, so number 6, dump the negative association with money and see it as a positive. A lot of people see money as a negative thing, and it's really not negative. And, you hear people often say money is the root of all evil. Money is this or it's that, or it brings this, or you hear so many things about money. Money is a positive. If you don't allow money to rule your life, money is a positive. It allows you to live comfortably. And even if you don't live super comfortable, you are still living. You have a roof over your head, and you can eat. You may not eat, filet mignon, but you certainly have food on your table. I don't care if it's mac and cheese. I don't care if it's bread and butter. You still have something to put in your belly so you're not starving. So, dump that negative association with money and be grateful. Be absolutely grateful for what you have. And that leads us into the next tip, which love the money that you have now. And remember that there is always someone worse off than you. Always. You have people who are on the really low, low part of the spectrum of finances. You have people who are really up high. And those people who are really... Hello. Come on. Hi. Okay. So you have people who are really low on the spectrum. You have people who are really high. And love your position in this spectrum, even if you're way down the bottom. It don't matter. Be happy for the money that you have now, even if it's not a lot. You could always be in a worse off position. And tip 8 on manifesting money is learn to manage money better. Now, if you're really fantastic at managing money, then hey, it's awesome. But I think a lot of us sometimes spend frivolously and, kisses from the kitty. I think a lot of us can learn by building and keeping a budget. I think it would help a lot. And, just like I say, it's one thing to use your skills. Now I have cat hair on my nose. Lovely. It's one thing to, manifest this money and draw it to you. But it's another thing to put the legwork in it and really, really try to, bring real world options into this as well. So next we have manifesting love. And this can be a little bit of a sticky situation for some. Ah, Petey. Ah, yes. I tell you, my cats could have their own TV show. I'm pretty sure of it. Because they're just, to me, they're the cute. It's like with kids, you always think that you have the cutest kids. Well, I think I have the cutest cats as well. But everybody thinks that they have the cutest animals or the cutest kids. So manifesting love. Okay, I'm going to let you down now. Never mess with free will. And I put this as number 1, tip 1, because I think this is super important. You don't want to have someone chase you or want to be with you if that wasn't their choice to begin with. And me personally, I would never want to be in a relationship or have someone courting me who was not interested in me beforehand. That is not my idea of a good time, or, it doesn't matter how I feel about the person. Even if I found them to be interesting and attractive and I personally wanted to be in a relationship, I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with someone who did not want to be with me. But you don't want to mess with free will. It's like a rule, and it can get very, very sticky and messy if you break this rule. So tip 2, state what you want, not as far as a specific person, but rather specific characteristics. And like I said on my video, when I did it on my, I did a Facebook Live yesterday on this same thing. And some people like certain like physical. He just like dumps buckets of hair all in my mouth and my nose. Some people like physical characteristics. That's not, unless that is a deal breaker for you, that shouldn't be part of what you're looking for. I understand that looks do play a role and you have to be physically attracted to someone, but I'm talking about like specifics, like you need to have someone with blue eyes. That may or may not be something that you need. Me personally, I find that loyalty, faithfulness, honesty, are strong character traits that I would much rather have than blue eyes. Just throwing that out there. Not judging. I'm just saying, like, when it comes to characteristics of what you want to bring in, make sure you have, personal characteristics. Not so much physical, but who they are as a person. Tip 3. Be whatever you desire. One of the core concepts of manifesting is feeling what you want to create. So if you want a faithful partner, then you have to be faithful. If you want an honest partner, you have to be honest. If you want a loyal partner, you have to be loyal. You cannot expect your partner to be all of these things and then play like these rules don't apply to you, because they do. And you should show your partner the same respect as you expect your partner to show you. And that is just how it should be. And you have to be what you desire. You cannot be a cheater and then expect your partner not to cheat. It just does not work that way. So be whatever you desire. Tip 4. Be clear on the type of partner you want. You must know this and be 100% sure before attempting to manifest love. Do not manifest out of loneliness. I can't even stress that enough. But to go back to what I initially said, be clear on the type of partner that you want. If you're 20 years old and your idea of a man is some hot young thing with a whole lot of attitude and a really strong bad boy side, I can promise you when you're 40, that's not what you're going to want. Promise you. Like this is what I'm saying, like you have to know, be mature enough to know what it is that you want in a partner. Because a bad boy, I can promise you that's not what you want. Especially not as an adult woman. I can tell you that, I'm a very lucky woman, and I have an amazing husband who has physical characteristics that I like, the blue eyes, even though it wasn't super important to me. And he is an amazing man. But when I was 20, I liked the bad boys. I liked the ones who didn't give a shit. Who would have thought? Like, when you look back on your younger self, you're like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, you like come to your senses, like, that was dumb. Like, I can't believe I allowed myself, I put myself in those positions. But this is what I'm saying, like, know what it is and be 100% sure, because bringing all this stuff into your life, like manifesting love into your life, whether you use spells, no matter what you're using to do this, it might be, it might be easy to bring it into your life. It might be like a process, but to bring it in. But then if it's not what you want, and then you have to try to like purge it out of your life, that could prove to be a pretty tricky situation. So know what you want, and don't, bring things into your life out of loneliness, because you are going to be more susceptible to accept certain character traits that you wouldn't normally accept if you weren't lonely. For instance, if you're super lonely and you are just happy to have a partner and they don't always treat you right, and it's not worth it. You have to be treated right all of the time. And if you're super lonely, then, number one, if you're really, really lonely, then you need to start to go out and make friends or, if that's an issue or that's hard for you, then you can always volunteer at like an animal shelter, or if it's like a depression issue, get help. Like, definitely go and talk to someone. Do whatever you got to do to make sure that you're mentally okay, because you know it's tough to feel like this super sense of loneliness. That's a hard thing to go through, and so you don't want to bring in someone when you're in that state of mind. So just wanted to put that out there. Tip 5, and this kind of like falls in with tip 4: love yourself. This is so important. You cannot expect a partner to love you and to respect you if you do not love and respect yourself. You have to be aware of who you are as a person. Be completely accepting of that, flaws and all, and love every single aspect of you. I just seen someone post on my Facebook that, she had blocked out her face, and she posted a picture of her daughter, and when her daughter was younger, and she said, I had to block out my face because I was ugly or something like that. And I was like, and this girl is beautiful. She's beautiful. And don't block your face out, because you know what you're teaching your daughter? Your daughter is a product of you. Your daughter looks like you. As your daughter gets older and she starts to hear you say these things, that you're ugly and you need to block out your picture, and oh my God, I can't stand looking at myself, you are teaching your daughter self-hate. Unknowingly teaching your child self-hate. And then once your child starts, like, she's going to hear comments. Oh, you look like your mom. You look just like your mom. And here your mom is like, oh, I'm so ugly. She's going to associate those two together. Oh, if my mom thinks that she's ugly, then she must think that I'm ugly too, because I look like her. So just keep that in mind. Know your worth. Know your beauty. Not everybody's a supermodel. Not everybody should be. There is beauty in every age. There is beauty in every size. There is beauty in every single form of woman. You do not have to be thin. You do not have to be big. You do not have to be average. You do not have to have brown hair. You do not have to have gray hair. You do not have to have blue eyes. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The beholder is not anybody else but yourself. This beauty is in the eye of the beholder thing, and talking about the beholder being someone else. No. The beholder is you. You need to be able to look in that mirror, and you need to be able to say, you know what? I'll tell you what, I'm looking pretty good today. And your opinion is the only one that matters. Not anyone else. Not a single other person matters with their opinion. So love yourself. That is so important. If you don't love yourself, you cannot expect your partner to love you. It's a fact. Tip 6, enjoy the life that you have now. It's so important. If you're alone and you're single, okay, being single is not a horrible thing. But some people see it as horrible. They're like, oh, why can't I find happiness? That's your first mistake. Happiness is not found in a relationship. Well, let me rephrase that. Happiness is not created in a relationship. Happiness has to be created within yourself. And then you bring your happy ass into this relationship, and then both of you guys are happy, and then now you can make this relationship work. You're both at a place of peace and happiness in your life. Granted, you guys will argue and have fights, and this normal, difference of opinion and misunderstandings and things like that, but you can't expect a partner to make you happy. They can only enhance that happiness. So enjoy the life that you have. And not for nothing, but when you're single, in order to be in a relationship, you have to know what you like. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you're about. You have to be in touch with your inner self. In order to be able to do all of these things, you cannot be wrapped up in another human being. You have to do this on your own. Soul searching and finding out who you are. So So that way you know what you have to offer when you get into a relationship. You know that, you've dated yourself essentially. You know yourself inside and out, and you know that what you have to offer is fantastic. So enjoy the life that you have. Love the life that you're living now. So when you get into a relationship, it's not like, like, oh, I can't wait, I need someone. Like you could enjoy being single, and you would enjoy having a companion as well. Tip 7. This is a sentence that you hear a lot of people say. Be with someone that makes you happy. A lot of people say this. It's a pretty common thing. Be with someone that makes you happy. Now, I'd like to rearrange that sentence. I want you to take out with. Don't use the word with at all, and say be someone that makes you happy. This is important. Excuse me. To me, it's important. And it should be important to you too. Because you want to be someone that makes you happy. You want to please yourself. Be a good person. You want to be, like, if you want someone to bring in happiness in your life, which, as I said before, is just not possible. They can only enhance your happiness. But if you're looking for someone who is, like, oh, he's such a nice guy, or she's an amazing woman, if you want these things in your life, be them. Be someone that makes you happy. That does not mean that you have to find it someplace else. If you think that it's great, he's so nice, he would give the shirt off his back, be someone that would give the shirt off their back if that is what you find to be an amazing quality. Be someone that makes you happy. So that's manifesting love. Now we have manifesting health. Now this is the last group of tips before I get into how to manifest. So manifesting health. Tip 1. Be clear and specific. Just as with any manifestation or bringing anything into your life, you need to be clear and specific on what it is that you're looking to bring in. Make sure your action matches your intent. So let's say, because that was tip 2, I'm gonna say, like for me, I've had a struggle with quitting smoking for a long time. I quit for a little bit, and then I start back up, and then I quit, and then I start back up, and it's like a battle, So people, they say, oh, let's say for a New Year's resolution, right? Because essentially what a New Year's resolution is, it's a promise to themselves that they're going to do this. So this is a sort of like a manifestation kind of. They're saying, I'm going to do this. I'm making this promise to myself, right? So they want to manifest this in their life. A lot of people manifest. The 2 most common New Year's Eve wishes is to quit smoking and to be more healthy, like working out, and I'm going back to the gym, right? So you want to quit smoking. I'm just going to take another sip of coffee. So you want to quit smoking. Number 1, be clear and specific. You can't just say, I want to quit smoking. I'm going to manifest me quitting smoking. How do you plan on doing that? Number 1, maybe you should say, I want to manifest the strength to give up smoking and stay away from them. Have strength to not go back. Quitting smoking is hard. I'll tell you that right now. I quit smoking a few weeks ago, and my doctor told me about 10 years ago that I was not going to see 40 years old if I didn't quit. I'm going to be 39 this year. So it's time. And I've been wanting to do it for a long time. So you know what? I manifested the strength to do it, and I'm doing it. But I'm also putting in the legwork. It's very easy to say you want to manifest the strength, or you want to quit smoking, but your actions have to match your intent. You have to actually try. Same thing with working out. People say, oh, I want to be more healthy. How? How do you want to be more healthy? Do you want a stronger cardiovascular system? Well, then that means that you're going to have to, you want to manifest. You can't manifest a perfect body, or what society calls a perfect body, or the kind of body that you want and desire. It's not possible. So instead, you manifest endurance, manifest energy, manifest things like that. And then you actually have to get up and go do it. Because this is where that plays in. You want the energy, you're going to get the energy. But now you have to actually use it. Go get up, set your alarm clock, go to the gym, do the workout. Be proud when you've done it. So, tip 3. Think it, feel it, believe it. This is important because it's one thing to think about doing something. It's another thing to feel it and then believe it. I'll give you an example of what this means to me. Is I want to quit smoking. So that thought is there. I want to quit. I need to quit. That's the thought. Feel it. Feel what you would feel like walking up the stairs after quitting. See yourself not out of breath. Walking up, I live on the 3rd floor, and walking up 3 flights of stairs as a smoker was so hard, because you get to the top of the stairs and you're pretty much like, okay, I lived a good life. This is it. So the way that I felt it was I could see myself walking to the top of the stairs and not being out of breath, not being so short-winded, and actually being able to climb the stairs and not feel like I couldn't catch that breath, and then believing it, seeing it happen in your head, seeing yourself 10 years down the line living this smoke-free lifestyle, believing it, believing in yourself. And so it's not saying that it's easy, because it's not easy, but it's worth it. So tip 4, chill out. So what this means is that you can't feel well if you're completely stressed out. And stress has been proven to cause many health issues. Both physical and mental illnesses can be caused from stress. I'll give you a little personal story. When about 3 years ago, probably 3 years ago, maybe a little longer, I was super stressed out. I was volunteering for an animal shelter that I very strongly believed in, and I was also I was the adoption coordinator. So I was handling adoptions for this shelter, and then I was fostering a whole bunch of animals on top of the animals that I already had. And there was a woman who was associated with the rescue who lived in another city who was, batshit crazy. And she was harassing me, and I was working a full-time job at night, and I didn't really get to see my kids and my husband. So I was really super stressed out. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how much more I could handle all of this going on at the same time. And I was at work one night, and all of a sudden I felt this really strong pain in my head, and I lost my vision, and I lost my hearing, and all of a sudden I just couldn't see, I couldn't hear, I wasn't sure what was going on, I almost couldn't handle the pain in my head, and I had started to get my vision back. It was really blurry, and so I messaged my boss, and I said, I need to go home. I'm not feeling well at all. I drove myself home, and I told my husband, because he was home that night, and I said, I'm not feeling well. I had to leave. I couldn't see and I couldn't hear. He begged me to go to the hospital. And I said, no, I'll be fine. It's just a headache. I'm just going to go to bed. And I woke up the next morning, and I had some weakness on one side of my body. And so I said, well, I better go. And I went to the hospital, and sure enough, I had a mini stroke. So that was 3 years ago. I was 36, That's fairly young. 36 years old, had a mini stroke because there was so much stress going on in my life. My blood pressure was perfect. Other than being, on the heavy side, my doctor, I was seeing a neurologist, and she said, you're absolutely healthy. So it was stress that had caused this mini stroke. So you need to make sure that you keep on top of yourself as far as things like that. When you start to feel yourself getting really stressed out and you're really overwhelmed in life, take action. Things that you can do to help decompress and de-stress. Exercise. Not everybody enjoys exercise, but it is helpful. Even if you do 5 minutes, even if it's just help you kind of get if you have like a boxing bag and you just box for 5 minutes, or you have a treadmill, run, jog, or do whatever you got to do, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you do it. Dancing. I have a friend who loves to dance, and she's good at it, and she makes a living out of it, but it's something that she does to help her decompress. I'm an artist. I paint all day long. So painting is not like what I want to do, It's just in order to decompress. Even though it's calming to paint, I do it for a job. So my go-to de-stressing technique is to meditate. Yoga is great for reducing stress. Meditation, as I just said, is great for reducing stress. Breathing techniques and coping techniques are fantastic for relieving stress as well. You can do coping techniques like grounding yourself. You can do things like taking my daughter, she has, she deals with some depression and anxiety and things like that. So she has coping techniques, and she has been a huge teacher for me on how to deal with certain feelings that, and how you can use your coping techniques to work them out. So if you wet a face cloth and then tie it in a knot while it's still wet and put it in the freezer, it freezes like that. So when you're feeling really super stressed out, you can put yourself in your room or wherever, in the bath or whatever, and while it's frozen, try to untie it. It sounds so easy to untie, but it's really not, I promise you. So there are different things that you can do to de-stress. And the last tip for manifesting health is stop letting people affect you. When you let people rent space inside your head, they can affect you in a negative way. And this is kind of tied into like manifesting positivity as well. Stop letting people affect you. Stop letting people take up space in your head. Stop allowing people to force you to feel a certain way. Evict them. Kick them out. They don't belong there. Same thing with the bubble. Protect yourself with a bubble. Respect your own boundaries if you want someone else to respect them. But mainly, put that bubble around you. Tell them, back up. You don't belong in my bubble. And enforce that. And some people will still get in from time to time, and if they do, just push them out. Don't allow them in there. It's huge. You have to enforce your own boundaries. So those are the tips on how to, for manifesting different things. So now I have the tips on how to manifest. I'm sure a lot of you know this already, but for those that don't, tip 1, get clear on what you want. This goes back to, to all of them. Know what it is that you want to bring into your life. Tip 2, ask the universe. There are lots of ways to do this. Praying. Praying is a form of manifestation. You have these people, like you see it on Facebook or social media in general all the time. My aunt got into a car accident. Please pray for her. What are you praying for? You're praying for her to get well. You're manifesting health. You're manifesting healing for the aunt. So praying is a good way. If that's part of your religion, if that's what you follow, then absolutely. Meditation is a good form of asking the universe and bringing things into your life. To visualization, that's a good way. spell work. If you work with magic, that's also a good way. Affirmations are also a good way. I mean, I personally love affirmations. I feel like they work so great. For instance, self-love. Not a lot of people love themselves, and that's so, so unfortunate. So, affirmations, just looking at yourself in the mirror every morning and saying, you know what? I love you. You're a good person. You you go out of your way to make another person's day brighter. You know, you're beautiful. You like to say things to yourself, you know, every day, every single day. They work. They absolutely work. And this can be done with anything. This can be done with loving yourself, to bringing in money, and it's all about, it's a combination of words, telling yourself these things, and visualizing it. So, that's definitely how you can manifest these things. Excuse me. Tip 3. Work towards your goal. It is one thing to just ask for it. And, you know, that might work. But I mean, why not better your chances? Work towards what you're looking for. If you're looking for good health and you want to quit smoking, then try. Stop smoking. Stop buying them. Put the money aside that you would pay for cigarettes and start like a vacation fund, or start a new wardrobe fund, or whatever you want to put it aside for. Give yourself some incentive. You'll say, after 6 months of not smoking, with all the money that I've saved from not smoking, I'm going to spend on this. This is going to be my incentive to stay non-smoking. So work towards your goal. Tip 4. Trust the process. If you find yourself doubting it, adjust your thinking. You don't want to doubt. It's what I talked about with the scratch ticket, with the lottery ticket. If you go and you buy that ticket, right? And you go and you sit down and then you start saying, I don't know why I bought this because I always lose. You're immediately doubting the process. The process is that you already know that this is a chance. This is a game of chance. It's a gambling thing. So you know that you have a chance to win. Why not think, you know what? I think of like the glass half full. Like, you know, I have a feeling I'm going to win something big. You know, why not? Why not? Why would you want to doubt the process instead of like giving it a little bit of incentive to be a good thing? So tip 5. Receive and acknowledge what you do get and be grateful for what you already have. So we already discussed that before about being grateful for what you have. But whatever you do receive, acknowledge that. Acknowledge receiving that and be super happy because, we all have the ability to bring things into our lives. And when that does happen, the universe has heard you asking, and it's giving you what you have desired. So receive and acknowledge that. Also, let's say if you've asked for $500, right? You've put in like the amount of $500, but you come into like $200 instead. Receive that and acknowledge, because it gave you what you needed, not what you wanted. So just keep that in mind. Number 6, and I think this is really super important, keeping your vibration high. And this can be achieved simply by spending 10 to 15 minutes a day doing something that makes you feel good. As I said before, I'm an artist and I love to paint, but painting at times can become very mundane for me because I do it all week long. So painting wouldn't go, and you would think that because I'm an artist, I love to paint, that would be my go-to, but it's not. My go-to is meditation. I love to meditate. I love to, put something on, whether it be like, I love thunderstorm sounds. Right now I have a campfire on. I love like these different things, and like you can sit here, and that's the beautiful thing about the mind. the possibilities are endless. Like, I sit here, I'll put on like a thunderstorm video, right? And I'll just sit there and I'll envision myself like I can already see it in my head because I've done it so many times, but I see myself, on the beach or, in the forest. Like, I change it up all the time depending on where I want to be. Just imagine really quickly that you're in, like this little hut, right? It's higher up in the trees. There's candles. There's a place to sit. This whole thing is made of wood, and it's raining outside, and it's a little bit of thunder, and it's still daytime. You can hear the nature, and you're just sitting there enjoying. The weather is warm, but it's not too warm. It's comfortable. Bring yourself to this place. And that's what meditation is. You bring yourself to this place and you enjoy it, and you live in the moment, and you relax, and you become in touch with your inner self. I like to be in the woods. I also like to be, they have videos on YouTube, which they have all kinds of different stuff. Videos of cabins with like huge glass windows and it's snowing. Sometimes when it's like 95, 100 degrees outside and you just had like a really sweaty, hot, disgusting like day, it's amazing how it can change your day around to come home, pop on a video of it snowing, and put yourself there. How good that feels. You don't feel as hot after that because you kind of like you're there, you're enjoying it. So, but I will stop babbling about meditation. I truly love it that much. And the last tip is to clear your resistance. Stop denying yourself gifts from the universe. We are almost conditioned to not accept things. I mean, think about it, right? If somebody walks up to you, let's say if your friend says, I noticed that you've been struggling lately. I'd like to give you some money. Your first response is, I'm sorry, no, I can't accept that. Number one, they wouldn't be offering if they didn't have it. Number two, they're trying to be a good friend. Number three, if you take that money, you're not taking advantage of them. You would be taking advantage if you were asking them all the time for money. But this person is offering it to you. Why would you say no? Especially if you're in need. If you're in need, I mean, I can see if you didn't need it, and you were fine just where you were, you were comfortable, that's one thing. But if you truly need it and she saw or he saw your need and he had it or she had it and she wanted to share that with you, we are almost conditioned to say no. We are almost always conditioned to not help when we see someone in need as well. So stop the resistance as far as always wanting, like when you need it, but you won't accept it. You kind of like say, I shouldn't take that, or I shouldn't do this. There will come a time where you will be able to make that difference in someone else's life. And you should. But when you are the one that is in need and someone is trying to make a difference in your life, accept it. Gratefully accept it. Be as grateful as possible, because that person, the biggest payment for them in that moment is for you to be grateful for what they have just done for you. And like I said, there will come a time where you will be them. You will have the ability to help another human being the way that they have helped you. They might be that person that needs help in the future, and you might be in that position to be able to do that for them. So clear resistance. Stop denying yourself. You can't ask for something and then not be ready to receive it. So just keep that in mind, to allow yourself to accept gifts from the universe. And gifts from the universe come in many different forms. And they might just come in the form of your friend coming into some money, or having some extra money that week, and they see you struggling and they want to help you. So, well, that has been the video on manifestation. I'm sorry for all the coughing. It's like my body is just like trying to. So, and I'm kind of like all over the place today. I've had way too much coffee today. This is literally like my 4th cup of coffee. I need to chill out. So, this has been my video, and I hope that you guys liked it, and I hope that you liked Mr. Petey as well, who is right here. Say bye, Petey. Look. Say bye. Say bye, Petey. Yes. Oh. I know. Well, I'll see you later, guys. Bye.